Hello, beach friends. This is one of my favorite beaches to come out and beachcomb, Fort Myers Beach. And today already feels like it's going to be a good one. There's just one thing to work around. A wee bit of seaweed that has invaded Fort Myers Beach. So when I got here this morning, it was clear I was dealing with a different kind of weather than usual. The air was thick with fog, and the condensation for a moment made it look like it was snowing. This is about as close as we get to blizzard conditions down here in South Florida. Now, with the seaweed pushed up all along the waterline and scattered all over the beach, it might make things a little more challenging, and that's okay. I am definitely up for the challenge. Okay, the first thing of interest I see is this moon snail egg collar. So the moon snail mommies kind of mix sand and like a gelatin and their eggs into this collar. And that eventually will develop and the little critters will become larvae and kind of swim around and do their thing. Now we are going to find amazing things on the beach today. I know it looks like it might be a little scary, but do not worry. There is plenty of fantastic things to look at. And we're going to talk about some cones in a little bit. So if you're ready to see what all is in between the seaweed today, let's go to the beach. So for reference, if you had watched last week's video, this is the day after. Now, this shell I might not have ordinarily have shown you because there's a little bit of the animal left in the shell. So something snacked on this poor banded tulip, and there's a little bit left in there. That shell, if I took it home, I would bury it. I would put it and let the ants, much like that's how these shells get cleaned up at the beach. Something is always eating and repurposing everything. So something like that, I would bury and let the ants take care of it. That fighting conch. Oh, it's so pretty. Yep, it's an adult, and there's a bunch of juveniles in my hand as well, but fantastic. Okay, yeah, it's a mess. I love a mess, though. Mess is good. This is not really great. I don't see these often. These are Asian green mussels. They are invasive. So yeah, not a great sign. They really mess things up for ships and waterways and all sorts of, yeah, they're not supposed to be here, but they are. Luckily, I don't see them that often, actually. So those are Asian green mussels. The common nutmeg. Now, we're at Fort Myers Beach, and these shells do tend to show up. So let's learn the scientific name, Cancelaria reticulata. So the nutmeg is the Cancelaria reticulata. The pear whelk is the Fulguropsis pyraloides. So those are the two I'm trying to teach myself right now. That's a shark eye. Don't know what the scientific name of that is yet. I will get there. That's the way that things work. A little bit at a time, it kind of builds up. So that is a shark eye moon snail. Ooh, there's a Fulguropsis pyraloides. With a name like that, I think I'm going to stick to pear whelk, but I still want to learn it. Look at that. Now, I did think that was alive. That's why I kind of picked it up the way I did with a bright color like that. I did expect the animal to be in there, but lucky, it's empty because all sorts of other critters cleaned it out for us. Thank you very much, beach critters. There's a lettered olive. What else caught my eye? Okay, a little fighting conch. It's not my favorite to be out here with the headlamp, but that's just kind of the way the day worked out for me. I wanted to catch the low tide or be here a little bit before the low tide came. So there's a nutmeg, or the Cancelaria reticulata. There's another. I think we'll know that by the end of this video, I'll tell you that. All right, there's another one. Fantastic. Yeah, Fort Myers Beach and nutmegs, yeah, they're like peas in a pod. There is a Philonodus pomum and another one of those Cancelaria reticulata. There's an auger, gorgeous auger, packed full of sand, great. And don't have to worry about critters or hermit crabs. Yep, another olive. Actually, there's a lot of olives at Fort Myers Beach too. Okay, a broken ribbed cantharus. There's another Cancellaria reticulata and another shark eye, right? Yes. Another moon snail shark eye. Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a whole bunch of nutmegs today. Not really too much of a stretch. And cones. Now, normally I would just say that's a dusky cone, and I'm going to do that this time, but we are going to talk about them. Another lettered amp. Still can't resist those pointy lettered olives. I have way too many. Still picking them up. Maybe in, I don't know, once 10 years goes by, I'll stop. Hard to say. Yeah, it's very, very foggy, but at least there's these patches that I can kind of hunt. So, and Fort Myers Beach does have pretty good smalls. Okay, that's an empty auger. Fantastic. A Florida cone. Yep, not super beat up, but you know, it's been around the block. Florida cone. And a Gulf oyster drill. Those brown horizontal stripes, those are the tells for me. Yeah, I just picked off some of that beach stuff. And the longer the beach stuff is on, it'll loosen up. It also kind of depends on the kind of shell, which is kind of funny. Sometimes that stuff will pop off a lot easier than other times. So that's a crown conch. It's been hugged by the beach many, many, many times. Oh, hello. Sinistra fulgur sinistrum. Yep, our left-handed seashell, the lightning whelk. Great, great. That's a great shell. They're relatively common, but on a day like today, that's epic. Absolutely spectacular. Here's a little bruised NASA. Darling little thing. And another one of those Cancellaria reticulata. Okay, so normally cones that size, they're all dusky cones. Well, it turns out we have another shell down here called a Peel's cone. And to me, obviously from that picture, I can distinguish them apart. But once I trying to figure out what that is, oh man. So I do think that's a Peel's cone. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. Right now, we'll admire this lovely Florida State Shell horse conch. The little ones tend to be either like kind of a bright orange or a yellow. So pretty with a little white top. A little drill of some sort. We have, yes, I believe that is an Atlantic oyster drill. And that is a process of elimination because it's not the mauve mouth or the cantharus. So this lace murex, I was just curious, like, it looks a little worn to me. I do want to clean it up. Again, just out of curiosity, really. So at the end of the video, I think it's going to be more of a wabi-sabi shell. We'll see. We shall see. Okay, another great auger. Yeah. And another. Okay. Now I'm picking them up kind of quickly. Gonna need to double check them though. You have you have a Hermie, so you have to stay here. And then anything questionable, like if I can't tell, I leave it. If I'm just not sure. Sometimes it's just beach stuff or a barnacle, and I just can't tell, and I'm going to leave it. Just how I roll. So yeah, I like to check my shells, leave the critters at the beach. Yeah, I'm kind of pro critter if you haven't noticed. So yeah, these appear safe or anything questionable. Yeah, yep. Okay, got a couple augers. Fantastic. I do like them auger. Oh, do like a good auger. Look at this cute little olive. Yep, so that is a lettered olive. Cute little thing. Lots of little things here. All right, that is a little fighting conch. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, almost no color. Wouldn't say it's albino. I think well, maybe, I guess. That is a little Florida fighting conch. All right. There's no seaweed here. Well, almost no seaweed. But you know what? There's not a lot of shells either. What's with that? So yeah, just keep moseying down the beach. Clearly a very foggy day. That's okay. No sunburn for me. All right, another one of those Cancellaria reticulatas. Make it 2. Now we can see the columellar folds on the inside of that. So that's what those little twirly things are. That's the fancy name for the twirly things. Okay, lace murex. Yeah, it's been hugged by the beach a little bit. So the bigger stuff clearly sticks out easier, but the small stuff can be pretty fun too. We have a, all right, that's a tinted cantharus. Lovely. Broken stuff. Yeah, we're gonna find some cool, there's a couple of, I just really like them. Some of these small ones. So there we have a cone. Dust peel cone. I don't know. So here we are. So these are all of the little cones that I thought are dusky cones. And so I looked at these two side by side. Now, I do think that the peel cone is on the right and then the dusky cone is on the left. But man, so I'm just going to pay more attention as I move forward and see if I could try to kind of tease them apart. Let's see. There's a top snail. No confusion on that. Although there's a couple different species. That one's a jujube top snail. That is a dark seraph. Aren't they lovely? That's just about as big as they get. It's got its little siphonal canal. And now the opening kind of flares out compared to the auger. So that is just a juvenile banded tulip or the Cinchera hunteria. Cute little thing. There's bubbles. Lots of bubbles. A little bit of coffee grounds. Oh my gosh, look at this one. That's a whopper. That is a whopper of a nutmeg. Yeah, and sadly, I did try to clean that black stuff. It didn't come off, so. Spoiler, that one does keep its black stuff. Oh well, but still a very, very colossal nutmeg. All right, another banded tulip. Delightful. I think the critters cleaned that one out for me. Thank you very much, critters. And okay, wow, yeah, pretty foggy day. So I did come at low tide. That's typically how I roll. At this point, it's coming in, but it was a negative tide, which is why I came here in the dark, because I just like to see what it does to the beach. Unfortunately, today there was all that seaweed, but still, I feel like we're doing okay. If I had to guess, this is someone else's recycling. Somebody dumped their shells here because it just feels rather random to have this alphabet cone here. So that's what I'm thinking. So the cones that I find up here tend to be more on the yellow and orange side. Here's another nutmeg. Is that? Yeah, I have enough. Oh, there's another one. But the cones that I find down like in Keewaydin and Kais, they're very, very dark, like a chocolate. So it's just interesting that they tend to be different colors in the different areas. And I am not above checking out someone's discard pile. I will tell you, obviously. All right, there's another cone. And I think that's a ribbed cantharus. And that is a drill of questionable origin. All right, there's one of those Fulguropsis pyraloides, or the pear whelk. Now this fella or gal, I really liked this shell. I just wished it was completely yellow. So there is a golden olive and it's just a color variation. So theoretically that whole olive could be that yellow color, but clearly it didn't really give that much effort. It was only going to give it a little bit of effort in being a golden olive. So I'm going to keep it anyway. And look, a rose petal Tellin. Maybe they're coming back. I've been whining for a couple months now that they used to be here all the time, but they were gone. Maybe they're back. Whoa, that one's huge. So another really big Cancelaria reticulata. Yeah, Cancelaria reticulata, yeah. Common nutmeg. That is massive. Now, I thought that the Murex family of shells was my favorite, but you know what? I love a good jewel box. So this is a spiny jewel box, and when it creates its shell, those little spikes are actually hollow, and the animal creates those spikes as it's building onto its shell. I think it's fascinating. Oh, I also think that shell is very, very pretty. So it's a spiny jewel box. All right. Nice frilly apple murex. Yeah, its top is a little missing, but otherwise very pretty. Phyllonotus pomum, or apple murex. Okay, yeah, at least it's not completely blanketed here. There's like little pockets. Yeah, in some of these areas there was, and someone had asked, it does not smell. I don't know why. It's just here, and eventually the tides and wind will take it away. No one's gonna come and clean it up. It's just a natural thing that occurs, at least here. This is a coquina. I do love a good variable coquina. They have nice strong hinges. There's another lettered olive. Yeah, Fort Myers Beach and olives and me, we have a problem. So that's half of a colorful moon snail. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can find them here, but the really good condition ones, I tend to find those on Kais. Oh, another little coquina. But I like Fort Myers Beach just because of the pure breadth of different specimens that you can find here. So many different things. And if the seaweed weren't there, we might be saying hi to a couple more critters, but not going to complain. At least I'm finding really great stuff. And there is a little, there's some openings here. There's possibilities. There's another Centura hunteria that does need a little bit of bleach. Oh, look at the color on that one. That's beautiful. So the parabolic, very pretty. And sometimes the undertone will be like a white on the shell versus that yellow. So we can look at these side by side. And why? It's just genetics, what they eat. It's just the way it is sometimes. And did you see that? So this, they call it a crucifix shell, but technically it is the skull of a catfish. And it just kind of happens to have this look, this crucifix look to it. So yeah, I'll probably hang on to that, throw that up on my Etsy store at some point. But yeah, really interesting stuff here this morning. I love Fort Myers Beach. We have another one of those parwelks. Very pretty. And an angel wing. A little bit of beach stuff, and that is okay. Beach stuff can be dealt with. Whoa, look at the color on that. So that's a crown conch. Oh, what great color. I suspect as it gets bigger, it would lose its color. I don't know if I've ever seen a really big one with such great color on it. So yeah, super fun. That's what I'm saying. Fort Myers Beach has so many different things. And unlike on Kais, when I was finding these poor critters all dried up, this fella just needs a little bit of hydration. So yeah, you'll be fine. But yeah, oh, very messy. That's okay. I do like a good mess. Wow, look at the color. So that is a true tulip. And I will show you that at the end of the video as well. I was really anxious to clean that up. Sometimes I'm like, lately I've just been getting lazy. And if it has beach stuff, I'm like, nah, but that I want to see cleaned up. Okay, that is a shell. I do think that that's a mauve mouth drill. Yeah, that's what's coming to me. Apple murex. Yeah, your aperture is a little worse for wear. Okay, so this is a striped acorn barnacle. Kind of neat. You can collect it. Depends on my mood. I guess I just wasn't in the mood for a barnacle right then and there. Now, that I would actually expect to be alive because of the color on it, but nope. There's a bunch of sand in there. Beautiful. Okay, another one of those nutmegs. So yeah, there's a bunch of great stuff here. It doesn't kind of look like it, but there is. Here's another apple murex. Yep. You'll get the spa treatment along with some of these other shells. Nice frills and everything. So the Phyllonotus pomum. Now, again, lack of seaweed, lack of shells. And typically, in the past, that was a sparse area, and I would be walking toward the good stuff. But it's becoming apparent to me that the beach has changed. And as I keep walking, there's no seaweed, and I'm not finding a whole lot. I mean, I'm going to go a little bit. I'm not going to give up quite yet. But I can see the beach has definitely changed. Here's a jingle. Lovely, or a baby's foot. Cool, that's a very big one. Very, very nice. Nice little jingle. Oh, another one of those very pretty juvenile fighting conchs. Empty. Yeah, nice. But I don't think yeah, it's kind of thinning out a lot. So I think I'm gonna go back and try my luck with the seaweed. I was having much better luck with the seaweed. Let's go back. All right, somebody else was recycling, perhaps. Hard to say. Oh, this is kind of pretty. And it feels like the perfect time for me to be quiet so you can enjoy some beach time. The Sunray Venus clam, very common for whatever reason. I just love them. Yep, sometimes it'll have that like splash of melon color on the interior if it's in good shape, and they're just variable. They're all different. Look at this one, almost no black. And I've also found them that when they've been very, very yellow. So yeah, I just kind of like them. Oh, somebody drilled a drill hole. That's an umbo drill. So another Sunray Venus clam. Oh, a flat urchin. 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. Now the hole on the back, that's where its mouth would have been. Yep. It's a little 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. Love them. Another top snail of the jujube variety. Terrific. Yeah, lately I'd been finding live ones and hermit crabs in them, which is kind of crazy, but that's just an empty top snail. So I don't have a whole lot of competition. Me and a couple of kids are out here. Frankly, I feel like a giant kid when I come out here. Oh, another Cancellaria reticulata, but it's missing its top. I can get picky at this point. Okay, a little Atlantic giant cockle. Another juvenile fighting conch. There is a ton of stuff here. It's just on the small side. Hey, some treasures come small packages. Okay, here we have a tinted cantharus. Sometimes they'll be bumpy, sometimes they're not. I prefer them if they're bumpy. There's probably a technical word for that. We're just gonna go with bumpy for now. I love these. So this is a pitted murex. It's twirly. So they not very small, but they're pretty small. They don't get all that big. And they twist. They kind of have a twist to them. I just love them. So it's called a pitted murex. Love finding them. Yep, fantastic. That's a great find. And oh, a sharp rib drill. I like these too. Again, don't know why. Just yep, the pitted murex and the sharp ribbed drill are little ones that I really enjoy finding. That's a little bruised NASA. It's fine. I just don't enjoy it as much as the other ones. So yep, and they're more common. I guess that's just how that works. And that's a Gulf oyster drill. You can tell by those brown stripes on it. And okay, a broken apple murex. That's another sharp rib drill. Awesome. I find them broken sometimes too, which is a heartbreaker. Nope, that one's great. Oh yeah, awesome, awesome little seashell. Along with a little drill. Frankly, they're both drills, aren't they now? Now, the Cancellaria reticulata can come albino. I have found them. This is not an albino. It's just a reminder that they could be. There was a little bit of color on that. What else? Oh, there is another. It's kind of weird. That is a ribbed cantharus. It's kind of got a funny shape to it, but that's what that is. Lots of opportunities. Oh, another one of those Fulguropsis pyroloides. Or parallel. Yeah, thwack. And when I do that, it's called a thwack. Yep, needs a little bit of bleach. That will clean up gorgeous. Oh, the carapace. So these are from calico box crabs, and they're the carapace. Sometimes you can tell they're a little bit different colors. I love the animals, but unfortunately they've expired and left their carapaces behind. So that is a coquina, and again, a variable coquina. They're a very important food source, the coquinas. A lot of these creatures kind of depend on each other. They don't exactly go down to the Stop and Shop and pick up their food. It's a snail eat snail or mollusk eat mollusk kind of a situation here. That is a buttercup lucine. It's rather buttery. Yep. Delightful. I love how bulbous it is. Love that shape. Now this is like albinistic. It's a Florida prickly cockle, but it's not full color. It just got a blush of color. I think it's gorgeous. Yeah. So it's albinistic. You kind of find that with some of the shells. I happen to kind of love those, the albino shells and albinistic ones. Very pretty. Okay, we have our standard calico scallop. Yep. That is a pretty standard seashell. The scallop, we don't get too many different species of scallops. That's one of them. All right. That is a banded tulip with like a little something in there. Oh, that's a banded tulip with a creature in there. So the banded tulip is alive. I do want to check out this shark eye. Okay. All right. We're going to give a couple of these friends a little lift down to the water. There you go. And then I want to check out this shark eye. Oh, you're great. Hey, there's some beach stuff on you, but that's okay. I suspect with a dental pick and some bleach, that's a false shark eye. Terrific. I do like that size. I just like them. Okay. There's our state shell that's also kind of a wabi-sabi-ish. It's been hugged by the beach. I think I don't like broken ones, but if they're kind of worn a certain way, they can be appealing. Now that's lovely. It's kind of reminding me of my actual beautiful albino fighting conch. Yeah, that I found over on Keewaydin. I love that shell. So anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because that might appeal to me, but because I have something so great at home, it just doesn't. Now this invasive, the green Asian mussel, and then another banded tulip. So yeah, if the seaweed wasn't here, I can only imagine. But you know what? Even with the seaweed, finding some pretty great stuff. There's another one of those pear whelks, the Fulguropsis pyrroloides. That is a mouthful. I like pear whelk better, but I want to know. All right, so me and two other people are out here. All right, there's probably more. But like I said, didn't have a whole lot of competition. It was a weird day. It was kind of foggy, kind of seaweedy. But all in all, is always probably going to be my favorite beach. And at least I'm finding stuff again. When I got here, it was a little scary, but I'm definitely not leaving empty-handed. Thank you once again, Fort Myers Beach. Now the cleanup. There was a little bit of garbage, and I've been dying to get over 100 pounds. So I was happy about that real heavy piece because today was 1 pound, 6.55 ounces. And in total, I finally removed over 91 pounds of garbage from the beach. And I've also removed a couple of Sunray Venus clams, as well as that angel wing, a bunch of drills in that buttercup lucine, a sand dollar, a calico scallop, some calico box crab carapaces. There's the crucifix shell, some of those coquinas, a worm snail, those invasive Asian green mussels, jingles, channel duck clam, augurs, pear whelks, or the Fulguropsis pyrroloides. There is some lace murex, some banded tulips, a bunch of those olives. I have a problem with them. The apple murex, a couple of bubbles, and a whole bunch of those Cancelaria reticulata. There was fighting conchs. There's some giant Atlantic cockles over there, some top snails, some Florida fighting conchs, lightning whelks on top, a bunch of cones, Florida cones, seraph. There's shark eyes. All right, honorable mentions to that albinistic, the spiny jewel box, that olive, that Florida fighting conch, and the cantharus, but these are my favorites. It was the true tulip, that crown conch, that drill for whatever reason, the murex, the pitted murex, and then the two sharp rib drills. So that was a whole bunch of fun. Now let's quick look. Remember I said that very kind of beat up true tulip. It is on the older side. I'm going to be careful. It was soaked in bleach, and I'll probably maybe quickly dip it in acid or not. And you know what? I'm probably going to go oil on that one because it feels rather delicate. And there was also that lace murex that was, I said I thought it was going to be more of a wabi sabi shell, and I was right. It's kind of pretty, but it is what it is. And next week, guys, girls, I had a night that I have been telling, if you have run into me in the last couple of weeks, I've been blabbing about this night. I had so much fun. I have been peeking at the footage. I haven't even like actually sat down to edit yet, and I cannot wait. So, Patreons, thank you as always for giving me the support that allows me to go out and do all of these things, including getting up at, or going out at 10:30 at night, or, whatever time it was. I really, really can't wait for next week. So until then, I hope you have yourself a really great week, and I'll see you again next Sunday. I'm like tripping over my words. I can't wait.